The air in the ruins was thick with the scent of old magic, sharp like ozone, heavy like storm-wet earth. Every step deeper into the shadows sent a thrill of dread crawling up Elias's spine, the whispers of the walls growing louder, almost taunting. The crystal pulsed on its pedestal, its light throbbing like a heartbeat, and for a moment, he swore it was calling to him. Then the laughter came, cold, mocking, slithering through the dark. Myra's torch trembled in her grip, the flame guttering as if afraid. Jax's hand went to his sword, his usual smirk gone, replaced by something far darker. Lena bared her teeth, dagger ready, but even she couldn't hide the flicker of fear in her eyes. The stranger stepped forward, his cloak swallowing the light. "Did you really think," he murmured, voice like rusted steel, "that this was ever going to be easy?" And in that heartbeat before the world shattered, Elias knew. They hadn't just walked into a trap. They'd been led there. "Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land." Alright, let's dive into the story. Chapter 1. The alien warrior's name was Kale Voris, and he was going to die. His breathing came in ragged, labored gasps as he pressed his back against the jagged metal ruins of Outpost Sigma 9's outer wall. Blood, thick and shimmering like liquid silver, dripped from the deep gashes in his armored chest plate, pooling at his clawed feet. His plasma blade, once a brilliant blue, now flickered weakly in his grip, its energy nearly spent. Around him, the Black Fang hunters advanced, their jagged weapons humming with deadly intent. Their leader, Rakthar, a hulking brute with crimson eyes and scarred tusks, stepped forward, his voice a guttural growl. "You fought well, Voris, but even a Xerxian war king can't outrun fate." Kale's twin hearts hammered in his chest. He had survived battles across a dozen star systems, but this barren human outpost would be his grave. His mind raced. There had to be a way out, but the Black Fangs had him cornered, their numbers too great. He tightened his grip on his broken blade, bracing for the end. Then, a voice, sharp, confident, and unmistakably human, cut through the tension. "Hey, Scales, you look like you could use a hand." Kale's head snapped toward the sound. A woman stood in the shadow of a collapsed support beam, her form silhouetted against the flickering emergency lights. She stepped forward, and the dim glow revealed her fully, tall, athletic, her curves accentuated by a sleek, form-fitting combat suit that clung to her like a second skin. Dark hair, tied back in a no-nonsense ponytail, framed a face that was equal parts beautiful and dangerous. Her emerald eyes locked onto his, unflinching. Kale's voice was a low rasp. "Who are you?" She smirked, cocking her pulse rifle with a practiced flick of her wrist. "Dr. Lena Cross, xenobiologist, occasional gunslinger, and, lucky for you, the only reason you're not dead yet." Rakthar snarled, his grip tightening on his serrated axe. "Human, this doesn't concern you." Lena's smirk didn't waver. "Oh, I disagree. See, I don't like uninvited guests trashing my outpost. And I really don't like ugly bastards who think they can kill whoever they want." Kale blinked. "You're defending me?" She glanced at him, her grin turning wicked. "Call it professional curiosity. Never dissected an alien warrior before." Before Kale could respond, Rakthar roared and lunged. Lena didn't hesitate. She fired. The pulse round struck Rakthar square in the chest, sending him stumbling back. The other Black Fangs howled in rage, weapons raised. "Run now, banter later." Lena grabbed Kale's arm, yanking him toward a half-collapsed maintenance tunnel. Kale hissed as pain flared through his wounds, but he forced himself to move. "Why are you helping me?" Lena ducked as a plasma bolt seared the air above them. "Because you're the only one who knows where the Orion key is. And if these guys get it, we're all screwed." Kale's blood ran cold. "How do you know about that?" She flashed him a look, one that told him she knew far more than she was letting on. "Let's just say I've been waiting for someone like you." Behind them, the Black Fang's furious shouts grew louder. The ground trembled as Rakthar bellowed orders. Lena shoved Kale forward. "Move your ass, Vorus, unless you want to die today." Kale gritted his teeth and ran. But as they vanished into the labyrinth of Sigma-9's ruins, one thought burned in his mind. Who was this woman, and what did she really want? Chapter 2. The maintenance tunnel was dark, the only light coming from flickering emergency strips along the ceiling. Kale stumbled as pain shot through his leg, his alien blood leaving a faint glowing trail behind them. Lena moved with practiced ease, her boots silent against the metal grating. She glanced back at him, her sharp eyes assessing his injuries. "You're leaking all over my floor, Vorus," Kale growled, bracing a hand against the wall. "I've had worse." "Aha!" Lena pulled a small device from her belt and tossed it to him. "Stick that on your wound. It'll slow the bleeding until we get to the lab." Kale examined the human medgel dispenser skeptically before pressing it against his side. The gel hissed as it made contact, sealing the gash with a cool, numbing sensation. He exhaled sharply. "Your primitive tech is surprisingly effective." Lena smirked. "Yeah, well, don't get too excited. It won't fix the fact that you're still a walking target." A distant explosion shook the tunnel, dust raining from the ceiling. Kale's head snapped up. "They're breaking through."
"No kidding."
Lena quickened her pace. This way. They rounded a corner, and the tunnel opened into a larger chamber. A makeshift lab, cluttered with holographic displays, alien artifacts, and half-dismantled weapons. Lena strode to a console, her fingers flying across the interface. Kale limped after her, his gaze sweeping the room. "This is a xenobiology lab. Why does a scientist have military-grade defenses?" Lena didn't look up. "Because some of us like to be prepared when alien warlords come knocking." A screen flickered to life, displaying security feeds of the Black Fangs tearing through the outpost's defenses. Rakthar's snarling face filled one of the feeds as he barked orders. Kale's fists clenched. "They won't stop until they have me, and the key." Lena finally turned to face him, crossing her arms. "Then maybe you should tell me why it's so damn important." Kale hesitated. The Orion key wasn't just some relic. It was a weapon capable of rewriting reality itself. But could he trust this human? Lena rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on. I just saved your scaly ass. Least you could do is drop the mysterious alien act." Kale's jaw tightened. "The key is a prison. It holds something that should never be freed." Lena's smirk faded. "And the Black Fangs want to unlock it." Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered, and a red alert siren blared. Lena cursed under her breath. "We're out of time." She grabbed a sleek, modified rifle from a rack and tossed Kale a fresh plasma cartridge. "Here, try not to blow yourself up." Kale caught it, slotting it into his damaged blade. The weapon hummed back to life, its blue glow reflecting in his eyes. "You're not what I expected, Dr. Cross." She flashed him a grin as she slung the rifle over her shoulder. "Stick around, Vorus. I'm full of surprises." The door to the lab shuddered as something heavy slammed against it. Lena's expression hardened. "They're here." Kale adjusted his grip on his blade, his body tensing for battle. "Then let's not keep them waiting." The door burst open and the Black Fangs poured in, weapons raised. Rakthar stepped forward, his tusked grin widening. "Found you." Lena didn't hesitate. She raised her rifle and fired. The fight for the Orion key had begun. Chapter 3. The lab erupted into chaos as pulse rounds and plasma bolts crisscrossed the air. Lena ducked behind an overturned table, her rifle barking in short, controlled bursts. Each shot found its mark. A Black Fang hunter crumpled, his armor smoking from the impact. Kale moved like a storm, his plasma blade carving through enemies with lethal precision. He spun, slicing a hunter clean in half before kicking another into a console. Sparks flew as the alien's body crashed into delicate equipment. "Try not to wreck my lab, Vorus," Lena shouted over the gunfire. "Apologies," Kale growled, driving his blade through a hunter's chest. "I'll be more careful with your fragile human toys." Rakthar roared, swinging his massive axe at Kale. The blade screeched as it met plasma steel, sending showers of blue sparks through the air. "You betray your own kind for this human?" Rakthar spat, pressing his advantage. Kale gritted his teeth, muscles straining against the brute's strength. "I serve no empire that would unleash the key's horror." A pulse round whizzed past Kale's ear, striking Rakthar square in the shoulder. The warlord staggered back with a howl of pain. "Sorry to interrupt your bonding moment," Lena called, already lining up her next shot. Kale didn't waste the opening. He lunged, his blade slicing deep across Rakthar's chest. The warlord stumbled back, hissing in fury. "Fall back," Rakthar bellowed to his remaining hunters. "We'll take the key from their corpses." As the Black Fangs retreated, Lena rushed to a smoking console, her fingers flying across the cracked display. "They've triggered the outpost's self-destruct," she said, her voice tight. "We've got maybe 10 minutes before this whole place goes up." Kale wiped alien blood from his blade. "Your people have a strange way of preserving knowledge." "Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta burn things down to keep them out of the wrong hands." She grabbed a data drive from the console and tossed it to him. "Here, everything I've got on the key's location." Kale caught it, examining the small device. "You've been researching this for some time." Lena's expression darkened as she shouldered her pack. "Let's just say I have personal reasons for keeping it hidden." Another explosion rocked the facility, closer this time. The ceiling groaned ominously. "We need to move," Kale said, eyeing the buckling structure. Lena nodded toward a service elevator. "That'll take us to the hangar. If we're lucky, my ship's still in one piece." As they ran, Kale studied the human woman beside him. The way she moved with lethal grace, the determination in her eyes. "You fight like a Xerxian battle maiden," he remarked. Lena flashed him a sideways grin. "I'll take that as a compliment." "It was not," she laughed. A sharp, unexpected sound amidst the chaos. "You're an asshole, Vorus." "I like that." The elevator doors slid shut behind them as the first of the outpost's structural supports gave way with a thunderous crash. The descent was jerky, the ancient machinery protesting under the strain. Kale watched the floor numbers tick down. "Why did you really save me, Lena?" The humor faded from her face. "Because I made a promise. To someone who believed you were worth saving." Before Kale could press further, the elevator shuddered to a stop. The doors opened to reveal the hangar, and standing between them and Lena's ship, a squad of armed Marines with weapons raised. At their head stood Commander Jace Riker, his cold eyes locked on Lena. "Going somewhere, Doctor?" Lena's hand inched toward her sidearm. "Jace, should have known you'd be working with them." Riker's smile didn't reach his eyes. "The Black Fangs pay better than the Federation." Kale's grip tightened on his blade. They were trapped again. Lena's voice dropped to a whisper only Kale could hear. "When I give the signal, run like hell." The standoff stretched for a heartbeat longer. Then all hell broke loose. Chapter 4. The tension in the hangar snapped like a live wire as Lena suddenly dropped to one knee, yanking a small device from her belt and slamming it onto the floor. A blinding flash erupted, filling the space with searing white light and ear-splitting static. "Now!" Lena's voice cut through the chaos. Kale didn't hesitate. Even through his slit-pupilled eyes, the stun grenade's afterimage burned, but years of battle reflexes took over. He charged forward, his plasma blade humming to life as he carved through the disoriented Marines. The acrid smell of scorched armor filled the air. "Damn it, Lena!" Riker's voice roared from somewhere in the haze. "You always did fight dirty." Lena was already moving, her pistol barking 3 precise shots. "And you always talk too much, Jace." Kale reached the ship first, his massive frame blocking incoming fire as Lena sprinted up the ramp behind him. A plasma bolt grazed his shoulder, drawing a hiss of pain, but he stood his ground. "Get this thing moving," he growled. Lena's fingers danced across the ship's console. "Working on it. Not all of us can swing a magic sword and call it a day." The engines whined to life just as Riker emerged from the smoke, his rifle raised. "You're not leaving." Lena met his gaze through the cockpit glass, her expression hardening. "Watch me." The ship lurched upward as the hangar doors began closing automatically, part of the outpost's self-destruct sequence. Riker's final shot pinged harmlessly off the hull as they cleared the closing doors with inches to spare. Kale collapsed into the co-pilot seat, his wounds protesting. "Your human mating rituals are intense." Lena barked a laugh as she punched the throttle, sending them rocketing away from the exploding outpost. "That wasn't a mating ritual. That was me dumping his sorry ass." Again. The ship shuddered as the shockwave from Sigma 9's destruction caught them, sending warning lights flashing across the console. "We're not clear yet," Kale said, eyeing the scanner. "Black Fong ships incoming." Lena's hands tightened on the controls. "Hang on. Time to see what this baby can really do." She threw the ship into a violent corkscrew maneuver as the first plasma volleys streaked past. The G-forces pressed them into their seats, but Lena's grin never wavered. "You fly like a drunken Krogan," Kale grunted, gripping his armrests. "And you complain like an old Turian?" She shot back, executing a barrel roll that nearly made Kale lose his lunch. The ship's AI chimed in calmly. "Warning, engine stress at 98%. Hull integrity compromised." Yeah, Lena muttered, flipping switches. "We just need one more." A massive explosion rocked them from behind. The view screen filled with the terrifying sight of a Black Fong cruiser powering up its main cannon. "Oh shit," Lena breathed. Kale's eyes narrowed. "Can we outrun it? In this? Not a chance." The cannon glowed brighter, seconds from firing. Then suddenly, a new ship dropped out of warp directly between them, its sleek black hull absorbing the blast effortlessly. A familiar voice crackled over the comm. "Need a lift, little sister?" Lena's face lit up with recognition and disbelief. "Nadia? But you're dead?" "Yeah, I get that a lot," the voice replied as the mystery ship's hangar bay opened. "Now get your ass in here before they shoot again." Kale looked at Lena, one eyebrow ridge raised. "More surprises?" Lena guided their damaged ship toward the bay, her smile turning grim. "You have no idea." As they crossed the threshold, the Black Fong cruiser fired again, this time at the new ship. But before the blast could connect, space itself seemed to warp around them, and with a flash of impossible light, they were gone. The last thing Kale saw before the jump was Rakthar's furious face on the view screen. His roar of rage cut short as the stars stretched into streaks around them. Chapter 5. The universe snapped back into focus with a gut-wrenching lurch as the mysterious ship completed its jump. Kale's stomach somersaulted. Xerxians weren't built for this kind of travel. He gripped the armrests of his seat until the metal groaned under his claws. "First time on a ship with a quantum drive?" Lena smirked, already unbuckling her harness with practiced ease. Kale swallowed hard, willing his stomach to settle. "We prefer more civilized methods of travel." The cockpit door hissed open, revealing a woman who could only be Lena's sister. Same sharp cheekbones, same emerald eyes. But where Lena's hair was dark as space, Nadia's fell in a fiery red cascade. She leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, wearing a fitted black combat suit that shimmered with active camouflage. "Civilized." Nadia arched an eyebrow. "Says the guy who was about to become space dust 5 minutes ago." Lena launched herself at her sister, wrapping her in a crushing hug. "You absolute bitch. I mourned you for a year." Nadia returned the embrace just as fiercely. "Had to sell it, didn't I? Deep cover doesn't work if my baby sister keeps sending 'Are you alive?' messages every week." Kale watched the reunion with growing impatience. "Touching. But we still have an entire Black Fong fleet hunting us." Nadia disentangled herself from Lena and tapped a command into her wrist display. The ship's walls shimmered, becoming transparent to reveal the swirling blue vortex of quantum space around them. "Relax, Scales. We're in the slipstream now. Not even Rakthar's fancy toys can track us here." Lena's expression turned serious. "How long have you been working with them?" 3 years, Nadia said, moving to the pilot's chair. "Ever since I discovered what they're really after." She brought up a holographic display, a massive, pulsing orb floating in deep space. The Orion Key isn't just some weapon. It's alive, and it's waking up. Kale's spines bristled. Impossible. The Xerxian High Council sealed it millennia ago. Yeah, well, seals break. Nadia zoomed in on the image, revealing tendrils of energy snaking out from the orb. The Black Fangs didn't just stumble onto this. Someone told them how to find it. Lena's face paled. The transmission I intercepted last month. It wasn't just coordinates, was it? Nadia shook her head. It was an invitation. The key wants to be found. The ship shuddered violently, throwing them all off balance. Warning klaxons blared as the slipstream around them began destabilizing. What the hell? Nadia scrambled back to the controls. Kale peered at the swirling chaos outside. That's no system malfunction. Something's pulling us out. Lena gripped the console as the ship bucked like a wild animal. Nadia, can you stabilize us? Not against this. Nadia's fingers flew across the controls. We're being dragged toward some kind of... The ship tore free of the slipstream with a sound like reality itself screaming. The view screen cleared to reveal not the blackness of space, but an impossible sight. A massive, pulsing orb of energy floating before them, its surface shifting like liquid light. The Orion Key. And standing between them and it, silhouetted against the cosmic glow, was a figure in familiar armor. Jace, Lena whispered, but when the figure turned, the face beneath the helmet wasn't human at all. The skin shimmered like molten metal, the eyes burning with the same eerie light as the key. Hello, Lena, it said in Jace's voice. Miss me? Kale's plasma blade flared to life. Whatever you are, you're not Riker. The thing wearing Jace's face smiled, its mouth stretching too wide. No. But he made such an excellent vessel. Nadia's hands hovered over the weapons console. I've got a really bad feeling about this. The not Jace raised a hand, and the key responded, its energy lashing out like a whip. You should. The ship rocked violently as the attack connected, sending them spinning toward the waiting maw of the awakened key. Lena grabbed Kale's arm, her nails digging in. Whatever happens next, stick close to me. Kale met her gaze and nodded. Then the light swallowed them whole. Chapter 6. The light didn't fade so much as reshape itself. Kale blinked, his vision swimming as reality reassembled around them. They weren't on the ship anymore. Instead, they stood on a vast, floating platform suspended in what looked like the heart of a star, golden energy swirling in every direction, pulsing with an eerie rhythm. What the hell is this place? Lena breathed, turning in a slow circle. Nadia's fingers brushed against the energy currents. We're inside the key, or it's inside us. I can't tell anymore. The not Jace stood before them, its form flickering between human and something else, something older. Its voice echoed with layers of sound, like multiple beings speaking at once. This is the prison your ancestors built, Vorus, and you brought me the key to unlock it. Kale's grip tightened on his plasma blade. You're the entity, the thing the key was made to contain. The creature smiled, and its face melted like wax, reforming into a perfect mirror of Kale's features. Very good, though contain is such a harsh word. I prefer delayed. Lena stepped forward, her pistol raised. Where's the real Jace? The entity chuckled, its voice shifting to Jace's again. Oh, he's still in here somewhere. His hatred for you made him deliciously easy to manipulate. Nadia's eyes narrowed. So what? You're just going to monologue until we surrender? The entity's form shimmered, expanding outward like smoke. No, I'm going to show you the truth. The platform vanished. Suddenly they were floating in space, watching as a fleet of Blackfang ships descended upon Earth. The planet's defenses crumbled in seconds, cities burning as the entity's influence spread like a virus. This is your future, the entity whispered. Unless you join me, Kale snarled. We'd rather die. That, the entity said, reforming into a towering shadow with burning eyes, can be arranged. Reality twisted again, and the platform became a battleground. Tendrils of dark energy lashed out, forcing them apart. Lena rolled to her feet, firing at the entity. The bullets passed through harmlessly. Damn it! Nadia, any bright ideas? Nadia was crouched near the platform's edge, her fingers tracing glowing symbols that hadn't been there a moment before. The key's reacting to us. I think it's choosing sides. Kale barely dodged a crushing blow from the entity. Choose faster. Lena's eyes locked onto something behind the entity, a pulsing core of light at the center of the platform. Kale, it's not just a prison. The key's a weapon too. The entity world, its form rippling with anger. You don't understand what you're touching, don't we? Lena sprinted past the entity, diving for the light. The world exploded in sound and color. Kale felt himself being pulled apart atom by atom, then violently reassembled. When the light cleared, they were back in normal space. The key floating serenely before them, its surface calm. The entity was gone. Nadia groaned, clutching her head. What just happened? Lena looked at her hands, which glowed faintly with the same energy as the key. I think it listened to me. Kale moved to her side, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. What did you do? Lena met his gaze, her eyes shining with the same otherworldly light. I made a deal. The ship's sensors suddenly blared a warning. On the view screen, the Black Fong fleet reappeared, dozens of ships, all converging on their position. Rakthar's face filled the comm screen, his tusks bared in triumph. You led us right to it, Vorus. Now die knowing you've failed. Lena smiled, a strange, serene expression that didn't quite belong to her. Actually, she said, raising her glowing hands, you're the one who's failed. The key pulsed once. Then the entire Black Fong fleet vanished. Nadia's jaw dropped. Holy shit. Kale stared at Lena, a new wariness in his eyes. What are you? The light in Lena's eyes faded, leaving only exhaustion. I don't know, but we need to get to Earth. Now. As the ship's engines hummed to life, the key floated silently behind them, waiting. Chapter 7. The night was thick with tension as the group huddled around the flickering campfire, the wind howling through the trees like a restless spirit. Elias tightened his grip on the worn map, his knuckles whitening. We're close, he muttered, more to himself than the others. Lena rolled her eyes, poking the fire with a stick. Close? That's what you said 3 days ago, and all we've found since then are blisters and bad luck. Jax chuckled, leaning back against his pack. Come on, Lena. Where's your sense of adventure? Besides, blisters build character. Character? She shot him a glare. I'll build you a character if you don't shut up. Elias ignored their bickering, tracing a finger along the map's faded lines. The ruins should be just beyond the ridge. If the legends are true, the artifact we're after is hidden there. Mira, the youngest of the group, hugged her knees to her chest. And if the legends aren't true, what if it's just another dead end? Jax grinned, nudging her shoulder. Then we'll have a lovely scenic hike to remember. Glass half full, kid. Lena groaned. Your optimism is exhausting. Elias stood abruptly, folding the map. Enough. We move at first light. Whatever's waiting for us in those ruins, we'll face it together. The group fell silent, the weight of his words settling over them. The fire crackled, casting long shadows across their faces. Dawn came too soon, the sky bleeding red as they trudged up the ridge. The ruins loomed ahead, jagged and ancient, like the bones of a forgotten giant. Mira shivered. It feels alive. Jax adjusted his sword belt, his usual smirk absent. Yeah, and not in a friendly way. Lena drew her dagger, spinning it deftly between her fingers. Let's just get this over with. I don't like the way the air tastes here. Elias led the way, his boots crunching on brittle stone. The ruins whispered with every step, the wind carrying voices that weren't there. Inside, the darkness clung to them like a second skin. Myra's torch flickered, revealing carvings on the walls, twisted figures and warnings in a language none could read. Jack squinted at the symbols. Well, that's not ominous at all. Lena snorted. Maybe it says, "Turn back, idiots." Elias pressed forward, his pulse loud in his ears. At the heart of the ruins stood a pedestal, the artifact resting atop it. A pulsating crystal, humming with energy. Myra's breath caught. "It's beautiful," Jax frowned. "And probably cursed." Elias reached out, his fingers inches from the crystal. "This is what we came for. This is our chance to end this." A low laugh echoed through the chamber, freezing them in place. From the shadows stepped a figure cloaked in black, his eyes gleaming like coals. "Oh, you'll end something," he sneered. "But it won't be what you hope." Lena's dagger was at the ready in an instant. "Who the hell are you?" The stranger smiled, sharp and cruel. "The one who's been waiting for you." The crystal flared, the ruins trembling as the ground beneath them split. The fight was coming, and there was no turning back. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and as always, keep the last light burning.